This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, coming at you here today with three big stories that need more exposure. So let's just jump right into it. Today, we're going to start with this. MakerDAO co-founder Nikolai Mushegian dies at 29 in Puerto Rico. And why is this relevant, you might be asking? Well, he died 3 days ago, but 4 days ago, one day before his death, he tweeted this: CIA and Mossad and Pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking entrapment blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with the laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. 1 day later, guys, he was found dead. So we're going to talk about that today, but also on a much lighter note, we have some good news to share today as well, such as this. Florida Medical Board votes to ban gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The Florida Board of Medicine voted to start drafting a rule that will ban puberty blockers and hormone therapy and surgeries for trans youth under 18. Now, that's a step in the right direction that needs to catch on everywhere. Also, check this out. Scary misinformation, the basis of Alberta's dangerous public health policy. So what is Alberta's newest premier saying now that's so scary and dangerous? Alberta Premiere Danielle Smith announces over the weekend that her government will not permit mask mandates in elementary and secondary schools because the detrimental effects of masking on the mental health and development and education of children in classroom settings is well understood. And indeed it is. You know, it's really nice to see someone actually speaking some truth for a change. So we're going to cover that, guys, and much, much more in this video. But just before we do, I'd ask that you quickly just check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Here you can make a one-time donation with PayPal. You can contribute Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You can join me on Subscribestar by clicking here. You can also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you can also send stuff to my P.O. box, guys. The links for all of that are located in the description below. Thank you so much to anybody who does take the time to support my efforts financially here at Press for Truth. All right, guys, let's start with this influential crypto guy. No, not this one, seen here last night wearing a Baphomet costume with an upside-down cross on his chest for Halloween. No, I'm referring to the death of a very influential crypto creator who died shortly after some very controversial tweets. This all started 3 months ago when Nikolai Mushegian made it known publicly that someone was after him. Before, I thought it was Illuminati CIA people doing sophisticated moves to set me up somehow because I was a threat to central banking cartel. Now, I realize these are probably the cheapest PIs money can buy, sent by local banking duopoly. Even round one shills in chat were smarter. He then said, "Let it be known that if I am somehow set up and framed or shot, it wasn't through sophisticated actions, but from sheer perseverance by people with infinite time and money to waste." So he saw himself as a direct threat to the central banking cartel. But then in September, he tweeted this: 3 possible futures for me. 1, suicided by CIA. 2, CIA brain damage slave asset. Or 3, worst nightmare of people who effed with me up until now. I'm sure these are the only options. Then, his third and final tweet on the issue came in October and was followed 1 day later by his death. CIA and Mossad and Pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking entrapment blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and Caribbean islands. They're going to frame me with the laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. 1 day later, folks, he was found dead on a beach, with the cause of death being determined to be a drowning. His tweets were essentially flying under the radar. That is, until his nightmare scenario became a reality. You see, it's because of Jeffrey Epstein that we've known about these pedophile networks operating out of the Caribbean for decades. So now people are going to need to take a very close look at what's happening in Puerto Rico so that his death is not in vain. All right, folks, let's jump into some of the good news for the day. After 5 hours of tense testimony and protests, the Florida Board of Medicine voted Friday to start drafting a rule that would bar all minors in the state from receiving puberty blockers, hormone therapy, or surgeries as treatment for gender dysphoria. Florida's medical board is the first in the country to pursue such a rule, but Florida is among a wave of states where officials have attempted to restrict gender-affirming medical care for transgender minors. By the end of Friday's 5-hour meeting, protesters began yelling shame at the board members, and some of them staged a die-in at the lobby of the Orlando International Airport where the meeting was being held. Can you imagine wanting to sexualize young children and castrate them so much that you're gonna protest against child abuse? Like, check out this lady who is upset that some protesters interrupted her queer youth dance and drag show. It was supposed to be a night for many 2SLGBTQIA+ youths in Kelowna to celebrate Halloween in a safe space on Thursday, but a small group of protesters showed up in an attempt to shame the organizers. Good! They should be ashamed. As my friend Billboard Chris recently said on Twitter, I will not respect your pronouns. Normalizing this has gotten society to where kids are being cut up and sterilized. Truth is more kind. Exactly. The truth is more kind. So, good job to everybody involved there in Florida. Hopefully this is going to catch on where other states will start doing the same thing. And speaking of truth, guys, look at what the new Premier of Alberta is saying about masking kids. We must turn the page. Alberta Premier explores blocking future school mask mandates. Alberta's Premier says she will not permit any further masking mandates of children in schools following a court ruling on the government's decision to drop and block those mandates. And she released this statement: I have instructed our government's ministers of justice, health, and education to alert me to any legislative or regulatory changes that may be necessary to reaffirm or clarify our government's full authority with respect to this and other health and education matters. The detrimental effects of masking on the mental health, development, and education of children in classroom settings is well understood, and we must turn the page on what has been an extremely difficult time for children, along with their parents and teachers. Very well said. However, I would just suggest this one thing. How about instead of trying to fix a broken system, you just remove your children from the problem altogether. Get them out of these indoctrination centers, guys. These places aren't like they used to be, and homeschooling right now is really the only option moving forward. My friends, if you appreciate my efforts to bring you this information, don't forget to check me out at pressfortruth.ca/donate. Links are located in the description below. So that's all for today, my friends. Thank you again so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming very soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.